Well, hello, everybody. Randy Reed here from Dojo Nation and our 10-minute tip of the day. Listen, today we're going to talk a little bit about culture. I've talked about it a lot. I'm going to continue to talk about it even more. And I think it's the most important thing that we do in our martial arts school is build our culture. Let's talk about different cultures. One of the things that I always do is I liken the martial arts school to kind of along the same lines of your local church. Your local church has the pastor or the priest or rabbi, who's ever in charge of it. We have our owner, chief instructor. They have their elders and the people who help. We have our staff and that sort of thing. They have their flock. We have our students. Very, very similar. And every church and every martial arts school has its own culture. And not understanding those cultures is, I think, one of the biggest challenges we have in our martial arts community. Now, as with all religions, if we get Catholics and Jewish and Protestant, and I don't even know how to pick one, and then we have our karate school and our taekwondo school and our Krav school and different, I don't want to, not necessarily religious, but different things we're following. Different, let's call it different books we're following. If I decide that I have my Catholic church, but I don't want to work that Sunday, so I'm going to ask the rabbi down the street to come in and run my Sunday class for me, it's probably not going to work because there's a difference in culture. If I ask someone of a hardcore kickboxing school to come in and run my kids' 4 and 5-year-old class, it's probably not going to go very well. And so understanding what you've got and who you are and what your culture is and what you're building and what you're supporting, what's your message, what's your why. We hear this so much, courtesy mostly from Mr. Rudy Mick. Who are you and what is it we do? And once you identify that, we identify that through our purpose statement, through our values, how we're going to communicate those things. Once we identify that, we should build everything we do around that. My personal thought is martial arts is fantastic to build leadership skills in kids. I don't think there's anything better out there. I don't think the Boy Scouts are better. I don't think anything is better than what we do in building leadership with children. At least the way I was running my schools, and my black belts still are. So if I have a school that is focused on really building leadership skills in kids, but I'm sparring 30% or 30 minutes of a 1-hour class 5 days a week, and then we're going to tournaments every weekend, like I did for a gazillion years. That's really not about leadership. That's about competition. And you can have competition. I mean, if you want to be a competitive school, we have competitive cheerleading places. They go in there and they practice and become competitive cheerleaders. You can do that. You can have your whole focus just on that, or you can focus on other things. My battle cry these days is really building the leadership part of martial arts, but staying true to what you are so that you build that culture. So I can pick up my school and I can move it across town. I can take the mirrors and I can take the mats and I can take my training equipment. That's just stuff. Anybody can buy that. But being able to take that culture, that belief system, if you move your church, your people are going to come with you. They're not going to base the ability whether they're coming with you on what kind of pews you're setting up. And your martial arts students are going to follow you, build, and bring their friends if they understand and believe in your culture. And the only way you can do that is to have a clear-cut understanding of what that is, share it with your flock, with your students, and make sure they understand that so they can share it, build it, live it, internalize it, and that's what you're giving them. That culture that you're running is your product. At the end of the day, I want to see a child come through my 4-year martial arts program at the same level they go through 4 years at West Point with that kind of leadership skills. And I think we do that. There's a book called The West Point Way. Watch it, read it. If you're running a true leadership school, you'd be surprised how close we are as what we're doing as they do. And the difference is they charge $300,000 for 4 years. We charge somewhat less. So that's just my thought on culture this week. Think about who you are. Don't try, what's the quickest way to go out of business? Try to be all things to all people. Figure out who you are. Make sure you have your purpose statement that explains that. Make sure that purpose statement is on the wall and you talk about it every class, every time. Make sure you talk about your values to build that culture. And when you have it, that's how you get a successful school. Now we have our little church in town that's in a strip mall. And we have another church that has 25,000 members in a mega church outside of town. Both guys have the same book. They're both reading the same book. One guy has 200 people, one guy has 25,000. Which one has the better culture? And if you can build your culture, our top schools and my top black belts that I work with, 300, 400, 500 students or more. Because they have a strong culture. The students understand why they're there and the benefit of being there, what they're going to get out of it. So that's some stuff you might want to think about a little bit, folks. 10 minutes for you today. Your tip of the day, get your culture going. Randy Reed here, over and out.